rich oppressing the not so rich. No one inside to help you save. You want to help yourself. You want to help yourself. So many chickens going to promised land. Sometimes you send prophets to wonder, but these people cannot understand. Beware of man leads to destruction. You are to help yourself. You are to help yourself. So many people going the wrong way. Sometimes you send prophets to wonder, but these people cannot understand. Beware of man leads to destruction. So when you say no righteousness, they say the man of God is too. You are to help yourself. Lord, you have to help yourself. Lord, you have to help yourself. You have to help yourself. Oh, you have to help yourself. That song says you have to help yourself. I read quickly from Ezekiel, from Ezekiel chapter 22, verse 30. And I sought for a man among them that should make up the edge and stand in the gap before me for the land, that I should not destroy it, but I found none. The song is about God looking down, and the first verse says, sometimes when God looks down from heaven, his heart bleeds for what he sees, because the rich is oppressing the not so rich, and it's a song about help, so that God had to stand up and provide help by himself. This song, the focus is on people helping each other. Even as God had to help himself. And I remember when I was in my first university, there were times when my food money will delay a little bit to come. And there was this particular day when I didn't have meal ticket. In those days we use meal ticket. You take your meal ticket to the cafeteria and they will give you food. So my first instinct was to go to some of my classmates that were a little bit richer. And I made sure I didn't go to an unbeliever. I went straight to a Christian classmate. So when I got there, he brought out his booklet, that we have like 90 tickets in one booklet. And he showed me, it was like the beginning of the month, he showed me that he has about 90 meal tickets there in that booklet. And he explained to me how, if he gives me one of those, then he could be in trouble before the month is over. So I thanked him, and I left. And on my way back to my room, I decided to stop by another Christian brother's room. I know that at that time he was struggling just like me. So I told him I don't have a ticket, a meal ticket for food that day. And he brought out his tickets. He had two. Somebody just gave him two tickets. And he said, we can share. You can have one, I have one, and then we'll see what God will do for the next meal. So that's how I was able to eat that day. I don't know if you have noticed that when poor people need help, sometimes it's poor people also that helps the poor. You would think it's the rich that would help the poor, but in most cases it's the poor that also helps the poor. One of the things that I want to share with you today concerning this song is that helping others can be very, very beneficial. And I will share another testimony to show you how that happens. I was in my room, same university. One day we had 3 people in one room, 3 students in each room. And suddenly there was a knock on the door. And when the door opened, the guy that was knocking asked for detergent to wash his clothes. He asked the first 2 students because they were closer to him. I was far back in the room, and they explained to him that they really don't have detergent. So as he was about to turn away, I told him that I had 2 boxes of detergent that my mother gave me for the month. So I said, you can have this one. So he thanked me and he left. About a few hours later, he came back. He knocked on the door, and when I opened the door, he said, thank you, I've used what I needed, and this is what is left. But knowing that I had 2 boxes, that I still had 1 box left, I told him, you can keep that, because I imagine what he went through before he was able to get that one. And I was trying to see if I can be of help in making sure that at least for some time it will not go through the same thing. At least it can keep that remaining box. My room was on the 2nd floor, and it was like right in the middle of the building. So he might have gone through all the rooms on the first floor before even coming to the second floor and before getting to my room. But here is what happened. Um, 2 years later, on the same campus, because it was a 4-year program. 2 years later, I walked into the students' area uh, where we relax, and there were a few shops there selling food. At that time, my situation was a little bit more difficult than it was 2 years earlier, financial situation. So I walked into the store, and because I couldn't really go to the cafeteria, I just decided to buy some snacks. And the shop owner happens to be the same guy that I gave detergent to 2 years prior. When I entered his shop, he looked at me and he said, "Do you remember me?" Of course, I didn't remember, because I don't usually go to that area. I usually go to where I can get real food instead of snacks. But I was so financially pressed on that day that I had to go there. So he said, "Do you remember me?" I was like, "No, not really." And he said, "2 years ago you gave me a box of detergent when I knocked on the door." That was when I remembered that, oh, it was him. But at this time, he had become a shop owner on the campus. He actually owned that snack store. And he told me, he said, "For as long as I have this shop, you can eat for free." And I was shocked at what God can do with the little that you give to others. In that song, it was about God having to help himself. But maybe by helping others, you too can help yourself. Thank you. A few years ago, I was just busy doing regular things when the phone rang. It was a lady that was calling from the hospital. This was in Hong Kong. She had read about a little girl that was paralyzed, that God healed through our ministry in Hong Kong. And she had been in the hospital by this time for a few months. And she was told that she will never walk again. She was not a member of our church. She was actually attending a Catholic church. But when she read the testimony of that little girl that was paralyzed, that God healed, she decided that that God that healed that little girl can also heal her. So she called and she asked if we can come and pray with her. She worked as a domestic helper in Hong Kong. She was from the Philippines. And on Sundays, when they are free to go out, she normally go to a martial arts place to practice. And one day she took a fall. She didn't know that it was very serious. She just thought it's another fall. And by the time she got to the hospital, they realized that she has damaged a lot of things. And that time, she was also pregnant. And so the first thing that the doctor recommended was to remove the baby because of the procedure that they had to do. So they removed the baby. And unfortunately, after removing the baby, they realized that the procedure they were thinking of doing will not help. So she had lost the baby and she was still paralyzed on the bed. But in the midst of all that, she kept telling her doctor that she believed she will walk out of this place, out of this hospital. And her doctor, according to her, always told her that there is no miracle that can make that happen, okay? So she called, and when she called, when I get calls like that, I just want to jump in and just pray. But I realized that it's only God that heals. It's not. There's no prophet that can, or pastor that can heal by himself. So I decided to pray that day and listen to what God will say before going to the hospital. And after praying, the Spirit of God told me that after praying with her at the hospital, walk with her before you leave the hospital. And so next day, jumped on the bus, went straight to the hospital. The hospital was on the other side of Hong Kong. There is the Hong Kong Island and there's the Tsim Sha Tsui area. So went there and spent some time with her, shared the scriptures with her, and I prayed with her. But before I could leave that day, I remember God said, walk with her before you leave. So I told her we're going to take a walk before I leave. And she smiled because she knew that that was practically impossible. So she sat up on the bed and I tried to get her to stand up so she can walk with me. But there were no, she couldn't stand up. So I literally carried her. And we took a few steps inside the room. She didn't go outside. Well, she walked a little, she walked a little, and then went back to the bed. Long story short, in the midst of what she was going through, she believed that she will walk out of that hospital. A few weeks later, I kept going there to visit with her. It was about 2 weeks later, one day, I decided to go and visit her again. So I jumped on the bus. Usually I'll phone her to let her know I'm on my way before I go to the hospital. But on that day, I didn't call. I was just in a rush and I just wanted to get on the bus and start going. So while inside the bus, I called her and I said, Sister, I'm on my way to the hospital. I'm coming to visit you today. And she said, sorry, I'm not there. And I was like, okay, so what happened? Did they discharge you? He said, no, no, no. I'm taking a walk with my husband. I'm taking a walk with my husband. What you say, what's your testimony when you are going through? That is what this song is about. Thank you.